Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'm going to be playing a quick draft of Streets of New Capenna. We're hopping into the lowest stakes draft format after playing the highest stakes draft format in the Arena Open Day 2. So hopefully we open up some cool stuff, have a fun time here as we draft against the bots in Quick Draft. So you've got infinite time on every pick because you are drafting against bots, but we will be playing against real human players at the end of the draft. Other than that, it's going to work the same way as any other draft. So without further ado, let's go over the cards in our pack 1. Pick 1. So our rare is solid, it's Void Rend, it's just a solid removal spell, not something that I'm really going to want to take pack 1, pick 1. I don't like tying myself into 3 colors immediately unless it's for an extremely powerful card, and Void Rend is just a solid removal spell. I even think Corpse Appraiser actually is going to be a little bit better than that because this card is a very good piece of card advantage, a 3-mana 3/3, and you're drawing the best card out of your top 3 when you play this if you exile a creature from a grave. So if we wanted to take a 3-color card, I'd probably take Corpus Appraiser before I would take Void Rend, but I still don't love taking 3-color cards. Pack 1, pick 1. And we've got some pretty solid commons in here. If we didn't have Girder Goons in here, I might scoop up Corpse Appraiser, but Girder Goons is just like the best black common. I'm a very big fan of it. Super fun card, super flexible card. If you need a big creature, you can just hard cast it as a 5-mana 4/4, and if you need a great turn 4 play, then this is an excellent one. A 2/2 that enters the battlefield tapped, plus you draw a card from the Blitz ability, plus you're hitting your opponent before the Girder Goons dies. It's just a very, very good card. And I'm a huge fan of it, so I'm just going to pick 1, pack 1 of Girder Goons here. Pack 1, pick 2 now. We have Fairy Vandal, which is a card that's going to synergize really well with our Blitz cards, like Girder Goons, because that will make sure we're drawing a second card any turn that we Blitz in a card. It also works really well with Connive cards, and it's just played quite well in the format, so I'm very high on Fairy Vandal. There's some other pretty strong cards in here, like Bouncer's Beatdown's a great green removal spell, Strangle, great red removal, Rafine's Informant's one of the best white commons, because it's often a 2-mana 3/2 that draws a card and discards a card when it comes into play, which is insane. So all of those are sweet. Even Body Dropper is really good with a dedicated Rakdos Sacrifice deck that has a lot of Blitz cards like Girder Goons. So Body Dropper is a super sweet pickup we could take here as well. There's a lot of ways you could go with this pack. I think my top 2 would be Body Dropper or Fairy Vandal, so I get to stay in allied colors and be open to the dual-colored cards in the set. So we get to be in blue-black or red-black, rather than taking Rafine's Informant and being in white-black and having to be white-blue-black specifically, or taking Bouncer's Beatdown to be in green-black and having to be green-black-red specifically. So yeah, I think the top picks here for me would be Body Dropper or Fairy Vandal, but I'm going to go with Fairy Vandal. Riveteer's Ascendancy is another fun card to mention, but it's really hard to get this to work consistently. It's just too inconsistent for my tastes. Pack 1, pick 3 now. What have we got here? Not a whole lot going on for the blue-black train. There's not a single black card in here. I guess there is Tainted Indulgence, which is just a little draw spell. It's nothing super special, but we could take it to just stick to what we're doing so far. We also could take, I guess, Backstreet Bruiser as an early game blocker. If you have a deck with a lot of flyers, this is a fine blocker. If you need late game stuff, Sewer Crocodile is a fine finisher. In terms of power level, I think my favorite cards in here are Celestial Regulator and Luxurious Libation. We're pretty far off from the kind of deck that would be playing Libation right now with these 2 cards, so unless we get cut off of blue and black, I don't think that'll happen. But Celestial Regulator, if we push into white-blue flyers instead of blue-black as our deck, then this card will be really good. It does synergize well with Fairy Vandal, because Fairy Vandal will have a counter on it quite often, so this can come in and get its full effect since you've got a creature with a counter on it. I think Celestial Regulator is just a super good card. I'm going to scoop it up here. Speculate on Obscura or even just white-blue flyers. And we do see a great Obscura card now, Nimble Larcenist, white, blue, and black for a 2/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, target opponent reveals their hand and you exile an artifact, instant, or sorcery from it. Larcenist is a very good card and a very annoying one to play against. We can scoop that up towards Obscura as well. So what we're going to want to do from this point on is probably figure out what 2 colors we primarily want to focus on and what color is going to be the splash here. Because when I'm playing a 3-color deck in this format, especially with a bunch of good cheap creatures like Fairy Vandal and Regulators, I really want my mana base to be in order, and the best way to do that is to choose a primary set of 2 and just splash in a little bit of your 3rd color, rather than playing a deck with awkward mana where you have like 5 or 6 sources of each different color. So here I think I'm going to take Expendable Lackey. It just works very well with Connive effects and casualty effects, so I just like it a lot in this kind of color pair. But Disdainful Stroke's been a solid counterspell. Run Out of Town is a solid tempo removal spell, and Initiate is a fine flyer, but I'm going to take Lackey here. Just my kind of card. Now we don't have much of anything in this pack. I guess we have Ominous Parcel. If we end up going a full-on 3-color with a really awkward mana base, we can use this to tutor up a basic land to put in our hand. It's that or like a Backstreet Bruiser here. Neither of them are super exciting. I guess I'll scoop up a Parcel just in case, but I'm not planning on main decking it right now. Now we have Maestro's Theater as a blue-black mana fixer. It's a blue-black fetch land. Or we have Rogue's Gallery, which is often going to return 3 creatures from grave to hand if you have 3 creatures in your grave. Especially when you have multicolored creatures like Nimble Larcenist. Rogue's Gallery is pretty cool, and there is some self-mill in blue and black. But since I am looking like I'm leaning towards a 3-color deck here, I do want to take mana fixing very highly. I'm going to take Maestro's Theater over that return spell there. Wow, this pack is phenomenal. Majestic Metamorphosis is a great combat trick since you draw a card when you cast it, and Hypnotic Grifter is just a great way to... just a great mana sink. If you're ever flooding out, just make sure you always have something to do to filter away all of your land draws late game into something actually impactful. I'm a very big fan of Hypnotic Grifter. I'm probably going to take it over that Majestic Metamorphosis. Now we've got a Waterfront District in blue-black. Pretty big fan of that. Slip Out the Back's a pretty great combat trick as well. Not a combat trick, a protection spell like Snakeskin Veil, if you've ever played with that. Basically, you're going to give your card hexproof, indestructible, all that nonsense for 1 turn. Just completely phase it out of the game. Stop it from getting removed by a Wrath effect or a targeted removal effect or anything like that. So Slip Out the Back's a pretty good piece of protection, but I'm not going to take it over a great mana-fixing land. Now we have Deal Gone Bad or Broker's Veteran. Very low on Broker's Veteran. I really don't like 1-toughness creatures in this format unless they're a very, very good card. Broker's Veteran is just fine. I find often as well you'll play it on turn 2 and just need to trade it against more aggressive strategies and not even get value out of the shield counter. I don't know, I'm pretty low on it, but Deal Gone Bad is also a card that hasn't played super well for me. There's a lot of good 4/4s and 3/4s in this format, like Spar's Adjudicators is a 4/4, Echo Inspector's a 3/4. Deal Gone Bad has a lot of places where it lines up poorly as well, so both of these cards are cards that I would run, but wouldn't be super happy on. And I guess I have 0 removal spells yet, and I do have a lot of random creatures, so we'll go for the Deal Gone Bad here this time around. Now we'll take a Backstreet Bruiser. And now we'll take a Slip Out the Back. Shieldmate is like fine, but I definitely want to pick a bunch of blue cards right now as the core of the deck, because that is the core of Obscura. Blue is allied to the white half, and blue is allied to the black half. So either way we go, blue-white or blue-black, blue is going to be central to our colors and central to our mana base. So we want to focus in on that mostly. But it's looking like probably blue-black splash white based on what we've taken so far. Although there's an Inspiring Overseer, I think this is the best common in the whole set. This thing is just busted. 3 mana for a 2/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life and draw 1 card. Just a ridiculous amount of value for such a cheap card at that mana cost. Just a super wonderful card there. If this weren't in the pack, I'd be pretty happy to try out a Dusk Mangler here. This is a card I've been seeing a lot of hype about, but I haven't played it yet. It is quite a lot of mana, but it's a pretty huge impact once it hits the board. And it's not that hard to cast the additional cost to cast it. You're always going to have some creature that's pacified, or some expendable creature like Expendable Lackey, or just a high enough life total to pay the 4 life. So the fact that it's flexible to what your additional cost to cast it is makes it so that's not that much of a downside, that additional cost part. And then when it enters the battlefield, that's a pretty huge effect, making your opponent sack a creature and discard a card and lose 4 life. So Duskmangler is a cool card that I want to try out sometime, but I'm not going to take it over Inspiring Overseer here. Now, wow. Yeah, Brokers is balanced. We see Disciplined Duelist and Lagrella. I think 2 of the best uncommons in the entire format. It's that or Snooping Newsy, which I guess we are blue and black centrally here. Or blue and black primarily. Do we have anything that works with self-mill? We have Expendable Lackey. That's nice to mill. That's pretty much it. But yeah, Snooping Newsy is a super solid card. Nothing super special or anything, but I think it's what I'm going to take here. I guess we're not that tied to black. We just don't have mana fixing if we cut the black out of the deck. We don't have mana fixing anymore, but we still have more than enough cards to just push into Brokers at this point because of how powerful Disciplined Duelist and Lagrella are. And I honestly don't know which is more powerful. Disciplined Duelist can just absolutely take over a board state. It's really hard to block this creature without just having your creature die, or at maximum remove a shield counter from it. It's pretty hard to get that shield counter removed against a 2/1 first strike and normal strike. Yeah, I think Disciplined Duelist is probably a little better. These are both fantastic, though. Lagrella is a removal spell on a stick. She's going to exile a creature until she dies or leaves the battlefield then anyway. I think I go Disciplined Duelist here if I push into Brokers. Card is absurd. Where did it go? Where did it go? There's no Disciplined Duelist in my deck. What? I'm going to rejoin the quick draft here. Okay, there it is. I was getting really worried because I have had Arena do those kind of bugs on me in the past. Alright, that was scary. But it's here now. And we see an excellent blue card here, so we don't have to do a lot of thinking this pack. Psychic Pickpockets. 5 mana for a 3/2 when it connives, bounce a non-land permanent to its owner's hand. Super good card, because you connive when you play it. So 5 mana 3/2, draw and discard a card, and bounce an opposing creature is already a good deal. If you manage to get that +1/+1 counter on this, it's an absurd deal. Psychic Pickpocket is phenomenal, and our highest mana card right now is 3 mana. So we could definitely use some good 5 mana cards like Psychic Pickpocket. Now we've got a Spar's Adjudicators, which is a very solid enter the battlefield effect and solid stat line for that 5 mana cost of this creature, plus it mana fixes us for that green mana for the Duelist. Spar's Adjudicator seems like a solid pick to me here. It's that or like Obscure Storefront as a white-blue fetch land. If this were a Broker's land, I might consider it over Adjudicators, but since it's just white and blue, I'm going to go for the Adjudicators here. Pick 5 now. We have another Expendable Lackey. I'd be pretty happy to play. When did I grab Broker's Initiate? Maybe that was the last pick of some other pack. So Expendable Lackey here. Super happy to play that. Other than that, it's a Broker's Veteran, and that's about it. Maestro's is looking pretty wide open, though. We see a Corpse Appraiser here, which is phenomenal. Glamorous Outlaws, which is pretty good. Mildly disappointed to see great Maestro's cards there. Now we have another Backstreet Bruiser. That's about it. There's not a lot of great stuff in this pack. The best stuff's probably just the aggro black cards like Fake Your Own Death and Crooked Custodian. Even those are pretty specific for what kind of deck they fit into. Now, wait, why do I have one Backstreet Bruiser? I took a Backstreet Bruiser last pack, and then I just took one right now. Is this Broker's Initiate? They gave me a Broker's Initiate instead of a Backstreet Bruiser? I don't know what is going on with Arena with the drafts lately. I have no idea. So I already have 2 expendable lackeys, so instead of taking a third right now, I kind of want to take a Make Disappear. It's a really solid counterspell, and it will synergize well with all the expendable lackeys we pick up. So I'll take that Make Disappear here, if Arena will let me have it. Now we have a blue-white duel and a white-green duel. Green is definitely the splash here. Basically going to be blue-white splash and a discipline duelist at this point. So I'd probably just take the blue-white dual land. I actually don't know which is better, because the blue-white dual land is going to be more relevant more often, but the green-white dual land makes it so we don't have to run as many sources that are only green, and having to run more just forests actually makes it harder to cast our on-color cards, because we can end up with hands where we've drawn 2 of our 3 forests or something. I feel like it's probably Botanical Plaza. Actually, that way, again, we just don't have to run as many lands that are only green mana. Because if we get dual lands that have our splash color, then we can hopefully get to a point where we don't have to run any lands that aren't one of our 2 main colors. So I'm going to take Botanical Plaza here. And now, Riveteer's Decoy is a solid card, but it is in our splash color, which is a bit awkward. That being said, there's nothing in our main colors here that's super playable. Case the Joint's just a bit slow for the format, but it does work with Fairy Vandal. I could play around with a Case the Joint here. Fairy Vandal getting that +1/+1 counter if we draw 2 cards in 1 turn. So we could get a card in our opponent's turn by casting a Case the Joint, or get a counter in our opponent's turn by casting Case the Joint. So that's pretty cool. I don't know. I feel like I still just take Riveteer's Decoy though. Just the better card for its blitz effect. This time I'll take Case the Joint though. I'm very low on Celebrity Fencer. Bunch of nonsense. Slam something in the sideboard. Decent combat trick here. We'll scoop it up. Refuse to yield. +2/+7 and untap it. It's insane how much better the combat tricks have gotten recently in limited formats. It's actually a little obnoxious. It's kind of the joke everybody goes with of how it's impossible to block in limited anymore. The combat tricks just keep getting insane. The fact that there can be a combat trick that's 2 mana for +2/+7 and untap the creature is it's absolutely nuts. The fact that there's a combat trick like that and it's not even considered like a great card in this format. It's just like, if you need a combat trick, run it. It's crazy. It's absolutely wild how good combat tricks have gotten. All right, pack 3. Pick 1. We have Citizen's Crowbar, which gives us main deckable artifact and enchantment removal alongside a 2-mana 2/2. We have Broker's Charm, which gives us a very flexible card here that can be a removal spell or a draw spell or enchantment removal. We have Rafine's Informant, which is a way to connive away our expendable lackeys and stuff, as well as a potential 2-mana 3/2. We have a Civil Servant. I would be very happy to play it if it weren't in our splash color. Probably not really an option for us, since blue is our main color of our deck. We can't really become a green-white deck splashing blue. We have just way too many blue cards to do that, so I don't think Civil Servant's really an option here. But then Skybridge Towers is definitely an option, as is Quick Draw Dagger, I guess. So yeah, Skybridge Towers, Broker's Charm, Citizen's Crowbar, Rafine's Informant, a lot of stuff to choose from here. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at our creature count. I think we're doing pretty good. 13 creatures and 4 non-creatures. Definitely want a few more creatures, but not that many. When did I get a Halo Scarab? That must have been last pick. I am all kinds of paranoid now about what the draft is giving us, because it feels like it's giving us stuff I didn't draft. At least because I thought we were supposed to have 2 Backstreet Bruisers, and then when the Discipline Duelist disappeared and I had to get into the draft, I don't know, I'm getting pretty paranoid. What are our non-creature spells? I don't think our non-creature spells are particularly good right now. We have Case the Joint, Refuse to Yield, Slip Out the Back, and Make Disappear. So our only removal spell is a counter spell, the Make Disappear here. So I kind of think I want Broker's Charm because it's just filling a role that we don't really have covered in our deck right now of being a removal spell. So we'll take that that Broker's Charm, and I will probably take Inspiring Overseer. Illuminator Virtuoso is really... It's a potentially massive blowout if you have a bunch of combat tricks with it. You can just kill your opponent incredibly early in the game. But right now, we only have a Broker's Charm and a Refuse to Yield to work with it, and we're in pack 3. Feels a bit late to jump on the Illuminator Virtuoso train. If this were earlier in the draft, I might take it over Inspiring Overseer, but Inspiring Overseer is just so good all by itself without any build around that I'm going to take Inspiring Overseer over that Virtuoso. There's even Expendable Lackey and Rooftop Nuisance, which are also great cards, but Inspiring Overseer just stands above all as a ridiculous deal. And we're just going to scoop up another one. I don't even really need to look at the rest of the pack when there's... Okay. Well, I can confirm Magic Arena is giving me cards I clearly did not draft. It's giving me a Midnight Assassin instead of a third Inspiring Overseer, which is absolutely horrible. Wow. Alright, I guess this video is a PSA. Probably, if you're a free-to-play drafter, I would not be drafting right now at all, because that's a massive, massive punt of a draft pick. Like, we go from one of the best cards in the entire format to a card that we can't even cast? That's so weird. That's not even a card that, like, the auto drafter, the bots would have drafted if this was in their pool. Like, even the bots would draft an Inspiring Overseer there, or at least something on color. Wow. That is a little bit dramatic. If you're a free-to-play drafter, I would say if you're in Quick Draft and this happens to you, just pay attention, and if you see it happening, file for reimbursement, report for reimbursement for sure. I am 100% going to in this draft. I have no idea. They're just, I don't know, there's just random bugs showing up this draft season. I have no idea why. I have not had experiences like this nearly as much in the Kamigawa Neon Dynasty draft season. At least I never noticed it. But yeah, that is not cool. It's not cool at all. Anyways, this pack, there's nothing super exciting on color, so we're going to go with our dual land here. Okay, I was going to say, that time it actually gave me the dual land, so good for us there. We have a Celestial Regulator or Rafine's Informant this time, or Expendable Lackey. Phenomenal three cards to choose from here. We don't actually have that many 2-mana creatures. Right now, we have a lot of great 3-mana ones. We should have 3 Inspiring Overseer and Regulator and Discipline Duelist. But even without the 3rd Overseer, we have a lot of good 3-drops. But when you look at our 2-drop creatures, we have basically 2. Because Riveteer's Decoy, we always want to blitz that in on 4 to get the full value. So let's grab a Rafine's Informant and get another great 2-drop into the deck. And now... none of these cards are massively... good. Like, I would play Buyer Silence out of the sideboard if this were best 2 out of 3, or Broken Wings out of sideboard. Don't think I'd main deck them. I think I'd be more likely to main deck Rocks Pummeler, but even that, probably not playing in this deck. We're pretty low curve, pretty aggressive, lots of great flyers, lots of good evasion here. Take a Buyer Silence this time, because I'm definitely not playing the Splash Color 2-drop. We're just not super likely to have our Splash Color on turn 2 for that card. Alright, blue-white dual land here. Probably looks better than any of these creatures. Yep, take the blue-white dual land. Take another Rafine's Informant. Very happy to see that. Phenomenal 2-drop. Definitely better than Broker's Veteran. Broker's Veteran, you can run it. It is your filler card. I'm just never happy to. Blue-white mana fixing off of Obscura Storefront. Pull out a Plains or an Island. Boon of Safety is an okay trick. I don't think we'll end up playing it since we have Slip Out the Back, which is kind of just a better version. I don't know, Boon of Safety is a little bit more flexible, because you can cast Boon of Safety just to scry one when, even if your creature isn't in danger. But I feel like Slip Out the Back is better when your creature is in danger. Because it can stop your opponent from exiling it or bouncing it to your hand or anything like that as well, instead of just stop it from getting destroyed. Probably not playing another Backstreet Bruiser, but I'm already not particularly looking to play the first copy of Boon of Safety. And again, green is our splash color, so I don't really want green 2-drops. I do like Courier's Briefcase, generally. Probably like it too much, but just enjoy treasure tokens quite a bit. That I'd play a 2-mana 1/1 that comes with a treasure. Okay. Put all of our decent stuff back in. And our mana fixing. This is a green-white mana fixer, actually, the Cabaret Courtyard there. Okay. We only have to cut one card. It's 41 cards. Yeah, I guess that is what happens when you swap colors pack 2, because we did have a lot of good black cards. We had Nibble Larcenist, Girder Goons. Okay, we had 2 good black cards. We had a deal gone bad. That's fine. But we spent some picks on mana fixing, like Waterfront District, Maestro's Theater as well. So we had spent quite a few picks towards the white, blue, black. So don't have a lot of room to cut stuff. Plus, I guess we took a black card in pack 3 for no reason, because Arena's being weird about it. Alright, so we just got 1 card from this deck. How's our creature count looking? 18? Probably just got 1 creature here. Get a very bread and butter 17 creature deck here. Maybe one of these Broker's Initiates. Actually, we don't have that much when it comes to just like flying stuff. We've got 2 Overseers, a Fairy Vandal, and a Regulator. Oh, could you imagine a Fairy Vandal deck with triple Overseer? We almost had it. We should have had it, but we don't. Yeah, I'm not so sure we really want the Backstreet Bruisers that much. They're very rarely going to attack. And they're best when you just need big chunky blockers on the ground. I don't think we really need that, because we have 2-mana 3/2s of Rafine's Informant and stuff. We have creatures that can attack and block. I kind of want to cut 1 Bruiser and keep the Broker's Veteran. Not a massive fan of either of them in the deck, but gotta have our 23 non-creatures in here. Or 23 non-lands in here. This is definitely not an 18-land deck, because we only have 1 6-drop, 2 5s. And our 6-drop and 5-drops aren't like massively powerful that we always need to hit them on turn 5 or 6. So probably just your traditional 17-land deck here. And yeah, let's sort our colors here. Make sure our mana looks all good. And then we'll see how the deck runs. Alright, so we have 9 blue, 8 white, so 10 blue, and 9 white. I'm just not really going to count the 3 color stuff, because that's everything. And then for green, 2, but we have 5 cards that'll need it. So currently we have 2 green-white duels, 1 fetch land that can pull out a green source. So if we cut down to 1 forest, we still have 4 green sources in terms of our lands, and we have adjudicators, so it's kind of like 5 cards that can produce green mana. Probably good enough. Maybe we want 2 forests. We'll keep it like that for now. When we look at our blue sources, we've got 5, 6, 7, and 1 that can pull out a blue. So 8 here. Seems pretty good. And then for white, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 white. And we have room for 2 more lands now, so I'll add in another island, and then we'd have 9 blue, 9 white right now. Which white and blue look pretty even, so 9 blue, 9 white. Have blue and white be exactly even, and then we've got one more room for, we have room for 1 more land, so we just put in 1 more forest and have 5 lands that can get green, and 1 adjudicators that can get green as well. Feels pretty good to me. I'm very happy that we managed to spend some picks on dual lands here. Because, like, you imagine this deck without the dual lands, with 17 lands here, but you'd have to do something like, I don't know, 7 island, 7 forests. I'm sorry, 7 islands, 7 plains, 3 forests. So we'd have 7 blue sources, 7 white sources, and 3 green sources. But instead, because we have these non-basic lands, it's just showing off how important it is to scoop up some non-basics when you're playing a 3-color deck. Because we have these non-basics, we have the same number of lands, 17, but instead of 7, 7, 3 as our sources, we have 9, 9, and 5, which is great. That's going to make our mana a lot more consistent. So, yeah, pretty happy with this. And my brain's kaput after Arena's auto picks. After Arena took our 3rd Inspiring Overseer, so I don't have a fancy or clever deck name today. I'm just going to name it ×3 Inspiring Overseer in memory of those that we have lost. Network error, unable to submit deck. Please try again. Oh, cool. Now I get to rebuild it. Oh, it's back! What? My Midnight Assassin is gone, but my 3rd Inspiring Overseer is back. Now I have 3 Backstreet Bruisers. So I guess it corrected itself and gave me everything I was supposed to have? This has been an experience, this draft today. Wait, what happened to my 2nd Skybridge Towers? Did I not pick up a 2nd Skybridge Towers? Did I take a Backstreet Bruiser over Skybridge Towers? There's no way that ever happened. Well, our mana just got worse, but our Cabaret Courtyard's gone too. Wait, what is going on? I don't even know anymore. But our mana just got way worse. Is it worth it for the 3rd Inspiring Overseer? Honestly, probably not. We just lost 2 non-basic lands for 1 Inspiring Overseer. Make the deck a lot less consistent. Did we lose anything else? I don't know. This is so weird. I don't know what's going on with Arena. I need to look over the draft and see if there were no mistakes in the drafting process, what cards would I have ended up with, and cross-check that with this. Because maybe I'm losing my mind here, and maybe I didn't attempt to take a Cabaret Courtyard and a Skybridge Towers. I would see the Cabaret Courtyard ending up in my deck by a mistake. But a Skybridge Towers, I definitely would have picked that up. At any point in the draft. Because that was blue-white the whole time. I don't know. I don't know. It's being weird. It's all kinds of weird. We gotta rebuild this deck here. Now that I have double Backstreet Bruiser, we'll cut 2 of those. And we still have 18 creatures because now we have a 3rd Overseer, so we'll just cut a 3rd. And then call it a day. Cut all the Bruisers. Oh, now we're main decking a Buy Your Silence now for some reason, though. Am I missing one of my non-creature spells? Case the Joint. Oh, there it is. Here, play that instead of Buy Your Silence. Okay. I was like, Arena took my Case the Joint. No one even likes that card. Alright. Maybe this is because I titled it ×3 Overseer. I'm gonna give it no error this time, please. Oh wow, the gotta love the text indicator just in the middle there. All right, fingers crossed we get to submit this one. I need to edit the mana base again though. So I mean, this is 5 green sources again, since you don't have a Cabaretti Courtyard. And then that's 6 white, 8 blue, 8 blue, 6 white, 5 green. That's much on the green. Drop one of those. 8 blue, 7 white, 4 green. Yeah, it just 2 non-basic lands can be the difference like that in your mana base, to where now it's 8 blue, 7 white, 4 green instead of 9, 9, 5 like it was before. Rough. But still not a horrible mana base. Not a horrible mana base at all. I think I really like that. 8, 8, or 8, 7, 4. Oh wait, no, this is 9 white. What am I on about? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 6, 7, 8. So we have 8, 9, 4 right now. Okay, so it's not that much worse. We do have slightly more white than blue now because we have triple Overseer, and they're the best cards in our deck, so I think I keep it like this. I don't want to put a 3rd forest into here. I don't want to have 3 forests in this deck. Because we definitely never want to draw a 2nd forest. And if we ever draw a forest and a Botanical Plaza, that's not a big deal, because Botanical Plaza could still be like a white source, but we draw 2 forests and we're very unhappy. All right, so let's get into the gameplay here. I'm probably gonna look back on this draft and see what I should have ended up with, and if that's different than what I did end up with, then I will still file for reimbursement on this one. Out of principle here. It's a pretty good hand. We have Spar's Adjudicators on turn 2, exiling to make sure we have all 3 of our colors. And we just naturally draw another color anyway. In that case, we don't really need to exile the Adjudicators, so I'm just going to play another tapped land here. So we guarantee that we're curving out from now on, playing a 3-drop on 3, 4-drop on 4, 5-drop on 5, 6-drop on 6 maybe even. So Inspiring Overseer here, turn 3. We are playing against a blue-white deck with a Hypnotic Grifter down. Illuminator Virtuoso, that is terrifying, and that makes my Riveteer's Decoy very bad. Could trade into the Grifter there, that wouldn't be the worst trade ever. Ooh, we've got to refuse to yield up now. So I'm pretty sure we're not blitzing out a Riveteer's Decoy just to die to first strike damage. So we could go Broker's Initiate, Expendable Lackey, and hold up Refuse to Yield. Which is pretty cool. Again, our Riveteer's Decoy is just very bad against a 1-power double striker, so don't feel a massive need to try to get that out there right now. When I can hold up our trick instead. Security Bypass on Illuminator Virtuoso. We are on a very fast clock now, because Security Bypass is going to give that unblockable as long as it's attacking alone, and when it deals combat damage to us, it connives, allowing them to draw and discard a card and potentially get a +1/+1 counter on it. Alright, no counters on Virtuoso at least yet. Oh, it connives twice because double strike? Yeah. That is a very bad... very, very bad combo for us. It's already a 2/2 double striker. We are really looking for our 5th mana for Adjudicators. We don't get there. But we can decoy to knock out the Grifter and draw a card trying to hit another land for Virtuoso, or we can play Duelist to try to find our own lethal out of nowhere with Refuse to Yield style tricks. I think I'm digging... I think I'm still digging for mana here. So we'll have our decoy trade into their Grifter. Because the decoy is forcing the Grifter to block it, we get to get 1 extra damage in with the Lackey as well. Draw a card here, hoping, fingers crossed, for a land. And they have a shield counter on the Illuminator Virtuoso as well. There is a land, so we've got mana for Spar's Adjudicators next turn to shut off the Virtuoso from attacking for 1 turn. And then we're just going to try our best to outrace it with our own creatures on ground here. Should we shut it off for a turn? Oh my god, okay, we lose. Revelation of Power, because it has a counter on it, gives it +2/+2 flying and lifelink, which means they gain 20 life here. Or not 20 life here, they gain 10 life here. Go up to 25. And we're down to 7. Yep, the Illuminator Virtuoso dot deck gonna get there. Dead 1 more attack from it. I guess we do still have the ability to shut off 1 more attack. I suppose if we get a Psychic Pickpocket, we win. And we don't win on the spot, but we're in a good spot. Psychic Pickpocket or Slip Out the Back are our ways to survive here, but we can't do either of them here if I draw a card with Informant, which means I lose no matter what. Right? Right, because I don't have any of them in hand right now. I can draw a card with Informant, but then I won't have the mana. I guess I'll have the mana for Slip Out the Back, which would give me 1 more turn. So we use Rafine's Informant, dig, just a Plains. That is guaranteed game then. They just attack with the Virtuoso by itself, deal 8 to us. Yep, Illuminator Virtuoso is a very, very combo-driven card in the format. It's one of the main... it's one of the main like cards if you want to draft like a combo deck, where it's the card I think more than any other card that I've seen where games will just be like, does your opponent have removal for this? If yes, you lose. If no, you win. Because we have had a lot of drafts on the channel before where our opponent went turn 2 Virtuoso, slapped on a security bypass or something, and then I was just like, murder? And then they just like immediately scooped. It has happened. But if you don't have removal for it, you are very dead. Alright, next round here. See a Waterfront District from our opponent, so they're at least blue and black. We go for a turn 2 Aven Heartstabber, a 1/1 flyer. If they have 5 or more mana values, it'll be a 3/3 flyer with Death Touch, and when it dies, they mill 2 cards and draw a card. Very nice. Our opponent is on Obscura, white, blue, and black. Got our Overseer down, draw a card here. Celestial Regulator from our opponent will tap it down, so we can't block the Heartstabber this turn. Turn 4 now, we can play a Case the Joint, Dapper Shieldmate, or Broker's Charm. So I'm going to go for a Dapper Shieldmate here. Try to start hitting our opponent harder than they can hit us. Hold for Ransom on the Shieldmate is going to shut that down. And we'll take 2 in the sky. Down to 17. There's our own Celestial Regulator, and we do have a card with a counter on it, which is pretty cool. I think I would rather toss down a 4/4 here, though. I'm going to get aggressive here and shut off the Heart Stabber, so we can crack back for a couple damage, rather than defensively shutting down the Regulator. Opponent has 5 mana now. They're just going to full-on cast a Girdergoons. So we'll shut that down with our Celestial Regulator here and still have the mana up for a Broker's Charm. No, we won't, because we only have 2 white sources, and one of our white sources is our green source. But I can go Regulator, Rafine's Informant, and slip out the back. So let's go Rafine's Informant first here. Refuse to yield is interesting. I actually kind of like that better than slip out the back, but I get to hold slip out the back up for 1 mana. Maybe it's Case of Join here. Doing well on cards. Could be doing better. I don't know. I'm going to discard Refuse to Yield. And then I'm going to drop the Regulator and hold up the slip out the back. Just get beating down because now our board is very big. Okay, so if we Broker's Charm here, we want to kill the 2/3 flyer, and then our 2/3 flyer can just keep getting in. I am interested in that. Okay. Now we attack with everybody except our 2/1. I guess even our 2/1 is going to trade into either of these, which is fine. Yeah, let's just slam in with everybody. Let's get aggro. Kill shot on Adjudicators. We're going to slip out the back there. Now we're not going to case the joint until next turn, but we get to keep a 5/5 on the board, which is pretty good to me. Because now it's big enough to even attack into a Girdergoons without dying. Although our opponent does play a 3/5 flyer, or 3/5 on the ground as well. So if they double block, they can still beat the Adjudicators. So probably just sending it in the sky right now. Broker's Hideout off the top from our opponent is going to pull out a Plains. Looking like we're going to get there with our flyers here. We've got a Fairy Vandal coming out as well, which is still good at this point in the game because of our Botanical Plazas. Alright, hit for 2 in the sky. They should be down to 7 here. But they do have 3 dual lands they can cycle to draw cards to card draws. Three cards in hand and 7 life. They're facing 6 power flyers, but I have another Botanical Plaza. So they're going to scoop them up. I couldn't get lethal that turn because I didn't have the extra green source to cycle this Botanical Plaza, but they need something very good to get out of this one because they'd be going down to 1 life that turn. So 1 and 1. Round 3 now, an incredibly slow hand. Even though it has all of our colors, we're not doing anything until turn 4, so I'm a little interested in a mulligan here. I think I am going to do that. Alright, now we have a turn 2 play. We have all of our colors thanks to the adjudicators. We're probably getting rid of a boon of safety here because we have multiple 5-mana cards to get to, so keeping 3 lands seems correct to me. Immediately draw the 4th land, so we're only 1 away from making it to the 5 drops. And Skycrier is the first play from our opponent. Drop a Raffine's Informant here. Another Raffine's Informant. I guess I'm going to discard Slip out the back. Because again, I am just trying to dig up into the 5th mana. So we'll play another Informant next turn. Green-white from our opponent. Skycry is going to hit us for 1, gain them 1 life, and Civic Gardener, so very much the green-white Citizens deck looks like. Drop another Raffine's Informant and see what we draw into. We draw into a 6th land, so we can definitely discard a land here. Do we have any double blue or double white in the deck? We don't, so it doesn't really matter. Discard a Plains or an Islands, doesn't particularly matter which one. I guess both of these are white sources, so we'll discard a Plains. And then we'll go Botanical Plaza, so we have all 3 colors. Offer the trade into the Civic Gardener here. Would be surprised if they don't trade. Ooh, maybe they've got something to deal with our 2-1 Informant. So I was going to say if they attack in, I'll trade with the 2-1. Nope, they're just going to hang on to Civic Gardener for now. There we go, that would be why. Hang on to it to work with the Civil Servant. And now we're just going to pass turn, because we'd like our 3-2 to trade into their Civil Servant, because that's essentially a 3-3 lifelinker, with the Civic Gardener's ability to untap itself every time it attacks. Raffine's Informant from our opponent. Discards out of the way. And they're down to 2 cards left in hand. One of which is a Disciplined Duelist, though. Very good card. We've drawn our 7th land here, so we're definitely going to do some conniving with this Psychic Pickpocket. 4/4 down does pretty much stop all of their attacks here, so we probably do that first, and then we Pickpocket next turn. Say no to the Duelist, and just the 4/4 body pretty much says no to their other ground attacks. Rabble-rousing. Okay, well, we lose, for sure. Rabble-rousing produces a 1/1 citizen token every time they attack with a creature. So if they attack with 4 creatures, which they can very much do, they'll get 4 1/1s. Very surprised they chose not to, because they would only lose 1 creature without trading, and they'd get 4 1/1s total. Either way, Rabble-rousing is gonna kill us here. If they get 10 cards, they get to cast something for free, but Rabble-rousing is pretty much lethal, even if they're never casting the Hideaway card. Because it allows you to tap out your whole field, make a big swing, and still have a gigantic field of blockers to not die. Psychic Pickpocket can return Rabble-rousing and force them to spend all their mana to recast it. And then whatever they hit away the first time is just exiled forever. That's, I guess, our best play? I don't know, Disciplined Duelist is a really painful attacker when that comes at us, so maybe Bouncing Duelist is better. It's Bounce Duelist or Bounce the Rousing. I guess I'll just Bounce the Rousing. Send a message here. We could discard an Expendable Lackey to have this be a 4/3, but I guess we get a fish if we do that, but at the same time, we really don't need these lands. So I would probably rather just cast Lackey here, since I can afford it. but I could not afford the fish. And by casting Lackey, it'll be 2 chump blockers, which is kind of just where we're at. Yep, there is the way you use rabble-rousing. Just slam all attack, doesn't really matter if your attacks are not profitable. Rabble-rousing makes them all incredibly profitable. Wow. Seems good. And they hit overrun off the top. They hit +2/+1 to all their creatures as their hideaway spell. Rabble-rousing is very much a magic card. This is a pretty awkward hand here for round 4. Really need the white mana. Our best cards here are Inspiring Overseer and Shieldmate. Just casting Lackeys is not going to be much action. I'm even going to mulligan here. Much better mana-wise, but not a ton of action here. We do have Fairy Vandal with Case the Joint. Kind of spicy. It's going to have to do. I think we get rid of the green source here. Well, maybe get rid of the Boon of Safety or the Broker's Initiate. So we do want to hit 4 mana for Case the Joints. I want to make sure we have some blockers here. I'll get rid of Boon of Safety. I guess Broker's Initiate does fit into our curve pretty awkwardly, because we're not going to play it until turn 3. Because our white source comes in tapped. Alright, now we might never play it, because our turn 3 play of Inspiring Overseer is much better, even if we didn't have a Fairy Vandal on board. But if we have a Fairy Vandal on board, turn 3 Inspiring Overseer is going to be phenomenal, because it will give a +1/+1 counter to the Fairy Vandal. There's a Jewel Thief, turn 3 from our opponent. One of the best commons. But here is our turn 3 Inspiring Overseer, which is probably the best common. Ooh, and we draw a Disciplined Duelist. We get to do some of that action. And we'll have the mana to play a Broker's Initiate as well, so we can finally fit that into the curve. Zero-4 blocker is going to be pretty good against their 3/3 Vigilance here. Spar's Adjudicators is the play off of the treasure token. Shut off the Fairy Vandal for a turn. Celestial Regulators our draw. Pretty great draw, but for now I think I'm getting that Duelist down. We can trade our shield counter into their Adjudicators if they want to attack into the Duelist. Angelic Observer is the play for turn, a 3/3 flyer. So now we can Regulator that down. Keep hitting in the sky. Hold on to a slip out the back if we need it. Could even send in the Duelist here. Trade our shield counter for whichever creature they want to block with. But I think we have more than enough flyers to just keep going for the win in the sky. And just using Duelist as a deterrent on the ground to keep them off of us. Rocks Pummeler, that is a big boy. Attacking for 6 in the sky this turn. Do lethal next turn because we can slip their Angelic Observer out the back so it doesn't exist. Skycrier. Okay, we no longer have lethal next turn because they have 2 flying blockers. There's a Ceremonial Groundbreaker as well. We definitely have lethal in 2 attacks in the sky. Case the joint here, get another counter on our Fairy Vandal. Refuse to yield. Is that gonna find lethal for us? +2 to whatever gets through. That is gonna be lethal. So we slip out the back on the life linker. So it doesn't exist this turn. Then they only have one flying blocker, so they block our 3/4, and we give +2 to one of our 2 power flyers, making it 6 total damage. And that will be 2 and 2 now. God, this chair is loud. Alright, here we are now in round 5. All 3 colors of mana here, but not a lot of mana, but everything in the hand's 1 or 2. Sure. I'll keep this strange hand. Get a Grifter out, turn 1. Just poke in for like a couple damage with our 1/2 for a moment. Ooh, would I rather hold up a Make Disappear on turn 2? I don't think I'm going to need to counter a 2-drop. I'm going to play my tapped land right now. Then I'm probably... Lackey's really good to connive with Grifter. I'm going to hold on to the Lackey. I don't think... By the time we cast this Make Disappear, I don't think I'm going to have to sack a creature to get it to go off. Oh... Well, maybe we wanted to Make Disappear on turn 2. Did not expect a Bomb Rare turn 2. The Gala Greeter's going to get a counter every time they play a creature, or get a treasure token, or gain 2 life. And it's whenever a creature enters the battlefield. So if they play creatures that come with multiples, it's going to be even worse for us. We could potentially blow that up out of nowhere with a Refuse to Yield. So we're probably just holding up all our instant speed nonsense. Green-white from our opponent so far. See what else they've got coming. They've got 7 cards in hand here, and they are in the think tank. Jewel Thief it is. I think that's a big enough deal to counter right now. Pretty big creature on the board, and it gives them the treasure token to really ramp into something else. Plus, obviously make the Gala Greeters a bit better. Nice slow start to this game. See what they've got turn 4 though. Just an attack for 1. They have 4 mana up here, so I don't really want to try to use Refuse to Yield to kill the Gala Greeters. They're just going to pass turn, okay. I guess we'll connive then. Discard that Lackey. 5 mana for us now. We've got the mana to play the Lackey and still hold up Boon of Safety and Refuse to Yield. So we'll do that here. And then if we don't need to cast either, we can just connive with the Grifter again. Discard the second Lackey. Alright, so we get our fish and we pass the turn. 5 mana from our opponent. Civil Servant is coming out. No citizens on our opponent's board yet, though. I'm gonna go for the Refuse to Yield on the fish right now and see if it works out. Bouncer's Beatdown, so Boon of Safety. Keep the Inspiring Overseer on top. kill the Gala Greeters. Okay, now we Inspiring Overseer. I should have done that post-combat. That was a very sloppy play. Because now if I attack with Hypnotic Grifter, they just block. But if I did it post-combat, I could have had the 3 mana up to Connive if they chose to block to make Grifter a 3/4 and beat the Civil Servant by discarding Expendable Lackey. So that was very sloppy sequencing. Should have went for the post-combat Inspiring Overseer. I just instinctually went for it pre-combat because I always like to cast my draw spells before I go into combat in case I hit combat tricks and stuff like that, but that was not a good opportunity to do that. Big life gain swing from Civil Servant here is going to put them back to 20, but from this turn on it's going to just be a 3/3 again. And we've got a gigantic Rocks Pummeler to drop down. And I'm going to hold on to this land to connive it away. Skycrier from our opponent. Pass the turn. Definitely attacking with Grifter. I really don't want to get cracked back because they have so much lifelink going on. Maybe I'm just holding Grifter on blocks and attacking with Pummeler. This Grifter is essentially a 3/4 blocker here. So trample over for 5, hit for 1 with the fish. I think I do want to Grifter 1 time right now before I pass turn in case I hit a really good main phase card like an Inspiring Overseer. Yeah, no, I just want to cast the Overseer. Another land. That's enough lands. I'm going to drop 1 out here rather than holding all of them to connive. Start working our way up to enough mana to maybe start sacrificing these dual lands. I guess if I had just kept playing my land drops every turn, I would have had a fish out after conniving that lackey. Because I would have had the mana to Overseer, play my land for turn, and still have another blue source untapped there. Ooh, Case the Joint. Yeah, I actually think I am dropping these lands pretty consistently here. I think a double block Rocks Pummeler, I guess. Knockout Blow, they can do that as well. See what we get off Case the Joint. Probably nothing to save Rocks Pummeler, but maybe. No, we've got a Broker's Charm on top, though. That'll be nice in the future. And here we are, we're getting really punished for skipping some land drops here. So this is a good part to mention. I think a lot of people naturally overvalue bluffing their late game lands, because if you hit card draw like we've done here, things like this can happen where I've already played my land for turn and I still can't play Adjudicators because I skipped the land drop early in the game to keep it around for my connive stuff. So yeah, by skipping land drops earlier in the game to try to get more value out of connive, I'm missing out pretty greatly on the value of using all my mana each turn. Like if I had this fish out of turn earlier, if I had this Adjudicators out of turn earlier, it's a pretty big difference in how this game goes down. So definitely some misplays there. They have another Skycrier in hand? Oh yeah, because Case the Joint, I saw it. Yeah, we're gonna have to trade off into them. A 2/1 flyer is pretty comparable to a 1/1 flying lifelink. Alright, we'll trade 1 for 1 into the combat trick. They won't have it around next attack then. Okay, so now we have Adjudicators and Broker's Charm. So we play Adjudicators. Shut off one of the lifelinkers, and then we kill the other with Broker's Charm? That sounds good to me. They can't really attack with Civil Servant because we'll just block with Adjudicators. So they just attack with a Skycrier, and then we kill that lifelinker. Put a ton of damage towards them next turn. Alright, we're going to have to use our Broker's Charm to kill the Civil Servant then, since they are now making it a 4/4 lifelinker from the backup agent top deck. Wow, they have Luxurious Libation as well. Some very good sequence of draws there. We're going to have to just trade off into that, I think. On top of the Broker's thing. Alright, what do we got? Hypnotic Grifter. Ooh, Fairy Vandal. That is phenomenal. Especially with Hypnotic Grifter. But I think I would rather play it at instant speed right now. To kill one of these Skycriers out of nowhere. All their creatures are 1 power, so I think we can attack with all this. Kaldaya Strong Arm. Opponent playing off the top like an absolute champion. Yeah, that's very bad. 3/3 flying lifelink now. We'd have to double block to kill it. So that just happens. I think we hold this in Grifter next turn with a Fairy Vandal. We can Grifter twice next turn and make Fairy Vandal a 3/4 flyer so that we can block and kill the 3/3 Skycrier. They have Fight Rigging as well. It's a phenomenal card. And it's going to make their flying lifelinker a 4/4, so even if we make ours a 3/4, it doesn't matter. Yep. Rafine's Informant. Cool. $12 cards left in the deck. Still double block it and kill it, but now we're just losing to Fight Rigging. I think I have to still hold Fairy Vandal back. Slip out the back. So now we play Informant to trigger Fairy Vandal because it's cheaper than using Grifter and puts another creature on our board. Six, 7. Discard the untapped land. Gain a life with Storefront. Could mill ourselves this game. I think our deck's almost all gas now. There's 1 land left in our deck. Okay. So we've got a shot here still, because our deck is straight up all gas.
I guess we're just holding back our big blockers, getting in with the fish, making sure we can make this Fairy Vandal big enough to kill the Skycrier on blocks by double connive with Grifter, so that they can't go for an attack here. I mean, they can, but it would not work out. Alright, yeah, so they pass here. I have to keep up with Skycrier's power with this Vandal, so I feel like I have to get a counter on it here. Which means I guess I slip out the back. And then I draw a card off of one of our lands, rather than drawing 2 off of Grifter, because I'm not going to want to discard whatever I hit here. Alright, we hit our final land. 0 lands in the deck now. It's actually kind of nice to hit a land, though, because that gives me a really easy card to discard to Grifter. And there's an Overseer. Down to 6 cards in the library. I don't think we can kill them fast enough with fight rigging. With just a field of lifelinking flyers. I don't think we can kill them as fast as we mill out. We can play Shieldmate here, because they can only make their Skycrier a 6/6 against our 6/7 now. Oh yeah, and they can just mill us out with Skycriers. Yeah, no, we don't have a shot this game. I guess we play it out because it's our last game, but all of our cards left draw cards. I'm just gonna do a flunge. I should have blitzed the decoy and then flunged. Well, that's going to be game. I think if we just curved out, if we played our lands more efficiently, we probably would have won this game. But I was too zeroed in on getting Hypnotic Grifter value rather than closing out the game. And those blocks end horrible for us. Our opponent gains 7 life and loses almost nothing. Really rough draft this time around. Very weird one as well with the errors from Arena. Not too much to say there. Pretty big misplays in the last round. I think we certainly could have won that last game, but we had some huge misplays. Our other losses were just to some explosive plays, which is just a testament to this format. There's Illuminator Virtuoso with combat tricks and security bypass. If you don't have the removal for that, you're going to get crumpled by it, and we did. And then rabble rousing. If you can't blow up the rabble rousing or counter the rabble rousing, you're going to get absolutely crumbled by that as well, and we did. So not too much to say this draft. The main thing, the main learning point there was in the last round. It's something that I say often, and I really need to take my own advice, which is players generally overvalue holding their lands. Now, what I always say is it's usually better to just dump your lands out rather than trying to hold them in your hand to bluff something if you don't have like a million lands out already. But what had me holding lands was my connive ability, because I was like, well, I can discard these lands to draw into good cards later, but I needed to be considering that I had multiple lands. I should have been dumping, maybe just hold one of them, don't hold 2 of them, because it got me into several positions, several turns in a row where I just didn't have the mana to play a fish after dumping a bunch of mana into drawing cards, or I didn't have the mana to play adjudicators after playing a bunch of mana into dropping cards. So it made our rollout much slower, and slower enough for our opponent to just draw out of the defensive the position that they were in into the lead that game. So yeah, definitely definitely a learning moment that last game. We should have been playing our lands much more often rather than holding all of them for Hypnotic Grifter. Definitely played too greedy there. But outside of that, solid draft, your normal stuff there. 2 and 3, not the greatest record, but our other 2 losses, I feel like I would lose with almost any deck in those rounds. So it is what it is. We'll take our prize, and we'll be back again very soon to play another one of these drafts. Take our beating and see if we can't turn things around next time. So, as always, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.